guys. Today we're going to continue reading the chapter by chapters, The Puppy's Place. Flash! Guys, this is the last video, sadly, about this book. And so, guys, I hope you enjoyed this book. So, let's get started. Bye, guys. I'm done. I made some JK, guys. Okay, let's get started. I like this book, guys. How about you? Like if you like it. Let's do it. Okay. Chapter 8. Charles woke up the next morning thinking about jelly beans. Sour green apple jelly beans, to be exact. They were his favorite. He loved them. In Littleton, at the Sweet Dreams candy store, at the mall. For that reason, he didn't mind that Stephanie wanted to go shopping. Hey, buddy, he said, reaching down to pat the puppy that lay on the rug next to his bed. At first, Buddy was too young to make it through the night without going outside, so he had slept in a crate in the kitchen. Mom had gone down to let him out at least once in the middle of the night, but now Buddy was completely house-trained. He never, hardly ever made a mistake, so he was allowed to sleep wherever he wanted to, and he usually wanted to sleep in Charles' room. But he licked Charles' hand, sleepily for a moment, as Charles petted his silky ears. Then he jumped up and started attacking Charles' fingers. Oh boy, it's morning? Was it morning already? Morning was Buddy's favorite time of the day. When Charles woke up, it was playtime, and then came breakfast time. Yay, Buddy loved morning. Hey, Charles, said Buddy, always woke up so fast. Hey, and what was the first thing he wanted to do as soon as he woke up? Play. The second thing, go outside to pee. Ew. Then dash back inside for breakfast. Okay, said Charles, climbing out of his warm, cozy bed. Having a puppy was a lot of responsibility. Sometimes, but it was worth it. Lizzie, Stephanie, and Becky were already in the backyard with Flash and Charles, and Buddy got downstairs. Watch this, Lizzie said. She made Flash sit and stay. Then she stepped back and threw the ball to him. He snatched it out of the air and caught it neatly in his mouth. His tail wagged, and he seemed to smile at them. Charles and the girls cheered. Flash lay down and let the ball drop out of your mouth. Holding it between his paws, he looked down at the ball, then up at Lizzie. The ball, Lizzie. The ball, Lizzie. His gaze was intense. Throw it again. Now. Flash couldn't believe how slow people were sometimes. He liked this girl a lot, but didn't she understand that he wanted to catch the ball again right now? Buddy finished peeing and sniffing around the backyard and loped over to wrestle with his new friend, Flash. The two puppies tumbled and ran for a few minutes. Have you found out anything else about who Murray is and where he went? Lizzie asked. Steph, it was the first time the cousins had a chance to talk privately together about the mystery. Not a thing, Steph reported. I've asked all my friends if they'd ever met a dog named Flash, Becky said, but nobody knew him. So what's next? Lizzie asked. He needs a home. Maybe he should tell Mom and Dad, Charles began. No, all the three girls yelled. Just then Buddy seemed to remember that it was breakfast time. He ran to the back door and Flash followed him. Inside, Dad was making waffles. As soon as he finished breakfast, I'll take you to the mall, he said. Great, said Charles as he poured puppy chow into 2 dishes. Puppy chow? Sounds pretty good, but not for people. Where am I? Oh, sounds like fun, said Becky. Charles had told her about the jelly beans and sweet dreams. Well, said Stephanie, I'm not sure I want to go after all. She reached down to pet Flash. For one thing, Flash can't go to the mall. So really, how much fun could it be? Flash heard his name and knew that the girl was talking about him. He looked up at her and nuzzled her hand. Maybe as soon as she would take him outside and throw the ball some more. Fine with me, Lizzie said. Charles knew his sister did not like going to the mall, but did she care if he got his jelly beans or not? What do you want to do instead? Lizzie asked her cousin. Go back to the stable and watch those agility dogs Kathy told us about? Stephanie and said right away. I'm dying to see what they do. All right, said Lizzie. Charles knew Mom had told her to be nice to Stephanie and do whatever her guest wanted. He guessed what Lizzie was happy now that Steph wanted to go to the barn. I'll call Maria, Lizzie added. I'm sure she'll want to come too. So do I, said Charles. He didn't mind missing out on jelly beans. If it meant being around dogs, he knew Buddy would have to stay home again. At least Flash could go with them, since Kathy had invited him. Me too, said Becky. I guess it's our turn to drive 5 kids and a dog, Mom said laughing. Hear that, Flash? He asked the puppy at the end of the leash. Flash sure did. His ears were up and his nose was twitching. He couldn't wait to see what all the fuss was about. He pulled at the leash. Let's go, let's go, let's go! Let's go, 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 go! Woof, woof! Charles and Becky followed the older girls into the barn, slipping through the door carefully so no dogs would escape. Wow, said Charles when he saw how different an indoor riding area looked. Big, colorful wooden obstacles filled the space. There was the teeter-totter they'd seen the day before, but now there were also all kinds of jumps, a tunnel for the dogs to run through, and a steep of a frame for them to go up and under. And the equipment was painted bright color blue, purple, green, and yellow. Dogs and people were running around. Dogs climbed over obstacles and ran through others. While their people yelled encouragement, some dogs barked happily, while others looked very serious as they charged around. Charles wondered about a row of white poles standing straight up out of the ground, while he watched a small, sleek border collie and his owner approach the poles. When the owner pointed at the poles. The dog ran in and out between them, weaving his way from the one end of the row to the other. "Did you see that?" Charles asked, turning to Becky. She was nodding. Her eyes were wide. Kathy walked over with Rascal at her heels. The little dog's eyes were bright, and his tail was waving welcome. She said, "I'm so glad you came back. What do you think?" "I think this looks like the most fun thing in the world," said Stephanie. "If I were a dog, I'd love it." She couldn't take her eyes off the border collie, who was now dashing through a round tunnel. He came out the other end and flew over 3 jumps in a row, sailing through the air as easily as a bird. "I agree," said Kathy, laughing. "The dogs love it, and so do we." "Did you see that border collie do the weave pulls?" They all nodded. "So that's what they were called." "That's one of the harder obstacles for dogs to learn," Kathy said, "but a smarty like Flash would probably pick it up in no time." She bent to pat his head. Flash licked her hand, but his eyes were focused on the activity. "In the middle of the barn?" "You mean Flash could be doing this?" Becky asked. "He's just a puppy. Puppies can do everything on the agility course right away." Kathy explained, for example, they shouldn't jump because their bones are still growing. But lots of these dogs started before they were 3 months old. Puppies can start by doing something easy, like learning how to run through a tunnel. She went on. "You can use a play tunnel made out of for little kids. They have them over at the toy store." Charles knew that they all still wanted to find Flash mystery owner. But if that didn't work, maybe someone who did agility would adopt him. Charles had a feeling Flash would like that. Yes, Flash saw a dog jumping through a tire, hung on ropes, then scampering up and over a frame. "I want to do that." Chapter 9. On the way home, Charles and Lizzie talked their dad into shopping at the toy store. "A tunnel will be great for Flash," said Charles. "It will help him burn off energy." Lizzie promised. Okay, Dad said. "And now we can pick up a movie to watch later." "Too?" Lizzie asked. "Yeah, we wanted to watch Babe," Stephanie said. "Did you know there are border collies in that movie? Talking pigs, too?" Dad said with a grin. "I seem to remember that." By the time they arrived home, with a bright yellow tunnel in the backyard of the van and a copy of Babe in Lizzie's backpack, Flash was definitely ready for a good run. Buddy was excited too. He had been cooped up all morning. "Playtime," Charles said. He called Sammy to tell him to bring his dogs over too. Goldie was a young golden retriever that the Petersons had fostered, and Rufus was an older golden. They both lived next door with Sammy, and they loved to play with other dogs. Guys, if you haven't read Goldie yet, she's adorable. And guys, let's just get back into the book. And I'm going to find my place. Yeah. They both lived next door with Sammy, and they loved to play with other dogs. With Buddy and Flash still inside, Lizzie and Stephanie set up the tunnel while Charles and Becky made sure the gate to the fence was closed so Flash couldn't get out of the yard. By the time Sammy arrived with Rufus and Goldie, they were all set. "Let 'em out," said Charles, opening the back door. Flash and Buddy tumbled down the back stairs and dashed over to greet Rufus and Goldie. Then all four dogs ran around the yard, barking joyfully. Rufus, the oldest dog, galloped along slowly, wagging his feathery tail. Goldie never strayed far from her friend's side, but she had to trot to keep up with the bigger dog. Flash was as quick as lightning. He made 3 circles around the yard before Rufus, and Goldie had even finished one. And Buddy did his best to keep up with all the bigger dogs without getting run over by any of them. Charles couldn't stop laughing. He could have watched the dogs play together all day. "What's that?" Sammy asked, pointing to the tunnel. Charles explained about the agility. "It's the coolest thing," he said. Wait till you see Flash zoom through that thing." "Well, we have to teach him how before he can do it, like those dogs at the stable. But let's let him burn off a little more energy first," Lizzie said. She rummaged in her pockets for some tiny biscuits. When the dogs finally slowed down a bit, she gave them each a treat. Then she called them over to the tunnel. "Now we'll just get them used to it before we ask them to run through. Look at this," she said, kneeling down by the tunnel opening. "What's this?" She pulled a treat inside the tunnel. All 4 dogs dove for it at the same time, knocking Lizzie over. Stephanie and the others cracked up. Said Lizzie. "Maybe we should try one dog at a time." "Flash gets to go first," insisted Stephanie. Sammy put Rufus and Goldie on their leashes, and let Becky hold Goldie's. Charles picked up Buddy, cradling the soft little puppy in his arms. "You have to wait your turn," he said into Buddy's ear. Charles watched as Lizzie tried again, putting another treat just inside the tunnel for Flash. Zip! Flash stuck his head into the tunnel, and the treat was gone. Flash didn't seem scared at the tunnel at all. "Steph, come hold him at one end." Guys, I have a terrible bug bite. "I'll go to the other end and call him. We'll see if he'll run all the way through the tunnel to come to me." Stephanie knelt down by the opening of the tunnel, her hand on Flash's collar. Lizzie went to the other end. "Here, Flash," she called. Flash heard his name. He looked around to see who was calling. It was Lizzie. She always had the best treats. When Stephanie let go of his collar, Flash raced as fast as he could toward Lizzie. But why was she laughing so hard? What about his treat? "Flash, you were supposed to go through the tunnel, not around it," Lizzie said. She gave him the treat anyway. "I'll show him," said Sammy, handing Rufus's leash to Charles. "Follow me." Flash ran around to see what Sammy was doing before anyone could stop him. Sammy crawled through the tunnel on his hands and knees. Flash could see that the boy needed hurting. if that meant he had to go through the tunnel after him. So what? It looked like fun. Flash scrambled through the tunnel right after Sammy. Yes, good dog, Lizzie cried. She gave Flash 3 treats. She didn't give Sammy any, even though he pretended to beg like a dog. Buddy struggled to get down. He loved being held by Charles, but right now he just had to go find out more about that thing Flash was running through. Whoa, okay, little guy, Charles said, putting Buddy down on the ground. Here comes Buddy, he called. Becky let Rufus and Goldie go too. All the dogs charged for the tunnel. Now that they knew what they were supposed to do, they couldn't wait to run through it over and over, again, especially since Lizzie was at the other end handing out treats. Soon the dogs were zooming through the tunnel, one right after the other, and sometimes 2 or 3 at the same time. Flash almost always brought up the rear, barking happily at the heels of the other 3 dogs. He's hurting them, said them. See? Lizzie pointed out. Flash is a real border collie. She sounded proud. What a scene. Soon everybody joined Lizzie at the end of the tunnel to watch the dogs come through. Charles laughed as he watched Buddy's funny face poke out of the tunnel. The puppy looked so happy. Goldie's head popped out the next. Then Rufus trotted out of the tunnel, shaking his big old head. Hey, where's Flash? Stephanie asked. Everybody looked around. Where was that quick little black and white dog? He wasn't in the tunnel. He wasn't behind the lilac bush. He wasn't on the porch. Flash was not in the yard. Chapter 10. He must have gotten out again, Charles said. But how? Dad had fixed the hole in the fence. Then Charles noticed that the gate near the side of the house was hanging open. Look, that gate was definitely shut, he said. Flash must have figured out how to push it open. Oh no, said Becky. We better find him quick, said Stephanie. You and Sammy and Becky go toward Elm Street. Lizzie said Charles, we go toward Maple. Charles didn't even pause to glare at Lizzie for being bossy. She was right. They had to find Flash right away. He could get hurt out on the street. He ran for the gate. Flash! Charles yelled. Becky was the fastest runner. He dashed through the gate and disappeared. Around the corner of Charles rounded the corner. He saw Becky and a woman leaning over Flash, who was lying on the sidewalk. Charles groaned. All of a sudden, he felt dizzy and faint. Flash was hurt. It was partly his fault for not watching him more closely, but it was hard to keep track of a dog like Flash. He was so quick and so smart. He could escape from anywhere. He's okay, Becky called. He was just saying hello. Sure enough, there weren't any cars close by. They were lucky this time. When Charles got close enough, he could see that Flash was lying on his back grinning up at Becky and the woman. Sweet dog, said the woman, giving Flash's belly one more pat as she stood up again. I was just walking by. He ran right up to me and rolled over for a tummy rub. Charles let out a big sigh of relief. Well, I guess he's not quite as shy as he used to be. He tried to smile. Flash really needs a home. where he'll be safe," Mom said. Later that night, when they were all sitting down to a dinner of lasagna and salad, "If we can't find one very soon, I think we'll have to take him over to Caring Paws." That was the animal shelter where Lizzie volunteered. It was not a bad place, but Charles hated to think of Flash locked up all day in one of the big cages where there. "We'll find something," Becky promised. She looked over at Charles. He knew what she was thinking. They had to solve the mystery of where Flash belonged. The sooner the better. After dinner, the four cousins settled into the living room to watch their movie. A tired-out Flash lay with his head out on Stephanie's knee, and Buddy cuddled in Charles' lap. Lizzie put Babe on, and before long everyone was swept up into the story of the little pig who was brought up by a loving border collie. "Look, Flash, that dog looks just like you," said Stephanie. She gave him a kiss on the head, and Flash thumped his tail. Then, when the movie was over, the cousins went into the kitchen for ice cream. "I wish Flash could live on the farm," Charles said, as he got the chocolate sauce out of the fridge. "He would love to herd sheep like that dog in the movie. Those silly sheep remind me of the Barclays sheep. The ones that are always getting out. They sure could use some herding." Steph was scooping vanilla fudge into her bowl. "The Barcays? Where do they live?" Lizzie asked. "Right up the road," Becky said as they reached for chocolate sauce. "You know, the horse that looks just like ours. People are always getting lost and knocking on our doors by mistake. When they really want to be at the Barclays, they really want to be at the Barclays." Charles started at Becky. Wait, what did you just say?" He put down his spoon. Becky laughed. "That the Barclays house looked like ours," she said. So then suddenly her eyes lit up. "Oh," she said. She put a hand over her mouth. "That's it," she cried. "Murray and his wife must have met to leave Flash at the Barclays farm instead of ours." The mystery was solved. And the next day, instead of going to the mall, the Petersons and their cousins headed back to the country, taking Flash to the home he was meant for instead of turning right where the road forked to Uncle Stephen's place. Dad drove up the left-hand fork to the farm at the other end of the road. This one had an old farmhouse and an old barn just like Stephen's and Stephanie's and Becky's, but there was a cow in the pasture and geese in the yard, and Dad had to swerve almost all the way off the road when a flock of sheep came trotting up to meet the van. When they pulled up at the farm, Charles opened the van door, and Flash jumped out as if he knew he was home. He dashed toward the sheep and started chasing them back to their pen. "Go get them!" yelled Mr. Barclay, laughing out loud as he watched the sleek dog run. Mr. Barclay turned out to be a tall, smiling man who looked a lot like the farmer and Babe. He and his wife were thrilled to meet Flash. He said that Murray and Dot had called them on Friday to make sure Flash was happy living there. Ever since, they'd been frantically trying to figure out where the dog had gone. I can't believe it, Mr. Barclay was saying for the fourth time as he looked down at Flash. I've been calling around everywhere looking for a lost dog. I never imagined that Dot and Murray might have left him at your place instead of mine. When he called out your place, no one answered. Dad was shaking his head. Charles hoped he wasn't going to start lecturing again about how the cousins should not have kept secrets from their parents. Uncle Stephen and Aunt Abigail had been out of town for the week, so they weren't there to talk with the Barclays. But everything had worked out fine. In the end, hadn't it? Thing had worked out fine in the end, hadn't it? Becky gave Charles a high five. He solved the mystery, she said. We're sure glad you did. Flash is beautiful, said Miss Barclay. We've always had border collies, but our last one died 6 months ago. We really needed a dog to help with our sheep. That's why we told Murray that we'd be happy to adopt Flash when he moved. Little did we know that Murray and Dot would have to leave so suddenly. Stephanie knelt down to hug Flash. Charles thought she looked really sad. Of course you're welcome to come visit with him anytime, said Mr. Barclay. He must have noticed Stephanie's face too. I'll be training him to herd the sheep, but he'll want to play too. Stephanie smiled, looking happier already. I'd like to try to teach him how to do agility, she said. Have you ever heard of that? Heard of it? Said Mrs. Barclay. I love it. Our last dog was a champion. Want to help me train Flash? I still have a lot of equipment put away in our barn. Really? Stephanie asked. Her face lit up. Charles had a feeling that she was going to be a lot happier living in the country from now on. So, what if there weren't any stores? If she had a dog to play with, even if it wasn't hers, Stephanie wouldn't miss the mall at if she had a dog to play with, even if it wasn't hers, Stephanie wouldn't miss the mall. And maybe someday soon she and Becky would get a dog of their own. Once Uncle Stephen saw how responsible they both could be, not only was the mystery solved, but Flash had a wonderful home where he could run and play safely. Plus, he had a job. Just what he needed. Stephanie and Becky could see him every day, and Charles and Lizzie would see him whenever they visited their cousins. The Petersons had helped another puppy find the perfect place. The end. I hope you enjoyed that book, guys. And so now, bye. If you liked it, comment down and subscribe and like. Bye, guys.